Hello, welcome back. My name is Olive and I'm here to guide you through a whole body mobility flow. So it's going to be following along with me. We're going to be mainly based on the floor. So in terms of equipment, grab yourself a mat if you have one and potentially a yoga block or a pillow. But yeah, this is suitable for all levels and I will see you there, starting on our knees. We're going to start kneeling down, so you can either kneel in this position here, or if it's more comfortable to tuck your toes, go for it. We will change it up in a second in terms of like the height of the kneeling, but we're going to start with some movement into our thoracic spine, so this kind of section. Let's just start by crossing our arms across our chest and kind of think about drawing a circle with your shoulders, with your thoracic spine. So allow it to just start nice and small. You can bring the shoulders forwards, let them sort of dip, alternating side to side, change direction. And then we're going to progressively allow the circle to get a little bit bigger. Maybe leaning forwards, you can allow the hips to move as well. Now at this kind of point, I like to take my hands onto my knees, my thighs, and get a little bit more movement into my shoulders. This is a region of the body that, for me at least personally, if I sit too much, this area really freezes up. So I really enjoy just doing this as a wee movement snack. So you can keep it going. You can even take your arms out to either side if you kind of want to extend through the levers. And then eventually we're going to come up into an upright kneeling position. Again, toes tucked or flat underneath you. And we're going to continue these circles, maybe making them a little bit more dramatic, a bit bigger, and you can get your hips, your lower body involved as well. So thinking about hinging and extending, getting them moving kind of side to side. Again, it's like whatever feels fairly intuitive here, wherever you find that sticky spot. You can bring hands across the chest, you can reach them up and over. Again, just try to really channel into your body, see how it feels, see where you need to take it. Okay, we're gonna start winding it down. So come back to butt to your heels, a little bit more movement. And then back to some stillness. Okay, lovely. So let's flick onto our feet and bring ourselves into a squat. Now, as you come into a squat, it doesn't matter if your heels are off the ground or if they are flat, it's completely fine. But let's take our hands to the ground to start with and just kind of involve this movement side to side, where you can sort of allow the soles of the feet to lift up. You can balance on the ankles, on the toes, allow a bit of movement into the knees as well. And if you feel pretty comfortable with this, maybe you explore taking your legs further apart. So maybe one starts to experiment with going a little bit straighter, so we're not always drawn into this really nice deep squat position. Play around with that. You can get your arms involved as well. Reach one up, create a little side reach. Movement into, again, the shoulder, the thoracic. See where you want to take it. And again, just breathing here. Bring the feet inwards a little bit more so that they are hip distance apart now. Have the toes facing forwards to keep your fingertips on the ground. You're going to lift up into Ragdoll. So legs are going to come relatively straight. You can still have a bend in the knees, but try to encourage your chin to drop down to your chest. Now you can either keep your fingertips to the ground or take your hands on top of your block. But let the head relax, let it look behind you. And all we're going to do is just gently sway side to side. You can kind of sway with alternating legs, like one bending a little bit more while the other straightens up. If you wanted to as well, you could always cradle your arms in front of your legs or hold opposite wrists behind the legs. Just really trying to focus on allowing the breath to move all the way down the spine. So we're going to kind of combine these two movements off this forward fold and this squat position, just to perhaps make it a little bit more dynamic. So bring the hands back down to the ground. You can pop your block off to the side, and then we're just going to bend the knees and sink back down into our squat. You can take the hands to your heart, or if you feel like it, maybe above your head. And then bring them back down, lift up to the forward fold, look behind you. We're just going to keep flowing between the two. So your squat position, and then your forward fold. Just keeping that breath nice and consistent as you go throughout. You don't have to rush this, you can move at your own pace. And in a moment or so, we're going to change up what we're going to bring into it. So we're going to add an element of rotation. Okay, next time you come down into your squat, you're going to bring your right hand just a little bit in front of your left foot. And then from here, just open up through that left hand. And then from here, we come into our forward fold, keeping the hands in the same position. So lifting up, but you rotate your chest to the left-hand side. Maybe just have a moment here, play around with the legs, like bending them, alternating between sides. You can wrap your top hand around your back, or take it through some circles, whatever feels good. And then back to your squat. Swap the hands over, left hand in front of right foot. Open up through the right hand. Push through the legs into your fold position. Again, movement side to side. Wrap the hand around, take it through some circles. Then we're just going to keep moving between these two. Again, at your own pace, at your own time. So adding another dimension on. Another thing you can start to explore is maybe lifting onto the balls of the feet, or even the heels, just for something slightly different. Okay, let's just go one more time each side. Little movement, little play. Motion is lotion after all for the body. Last time. And coming all the way back down to your hands and knees into a tabletop position. Maybe just take the left leg behind, give it a little kick, a little shake. Same with the right leg. Okay, beautiful. So from here we're going to come down onto our bellies. We're going to do something called scorpion taps. So just make sure that you have kind of enough space in front of you for your arms to extend out to either side. Okie dokie. So you're going to bring yourself down onto your belly. And we're going to start by extending our right arm out to the side. So the wrist, the elbow and the shoulder are all in one nice long line. We're going to keep our left hand underneath our left shoulder. So your head can stay floating, or you can keep the forehead sort of towards the ground. It's completely up to you, but you're going to bend your left leg. And then from there, we roll over to the right arm, to the right hand side, and lightly tap the ground with the left foot. Maybe pause here for a moment, see how you feel. And then roll back to the belly and we swap the arms over. So right hand under right shoulder, left arm extends away. Bend the right leg and roll over to the left hand side, gently tapping the ground. Pause here for a moment, see how you feel. And then basically again, as always, we just start to flow between the two at our own time. I'll let you just have a little play first of all to see how it feels. And then I'll give some sort of extra options or ways that you can experiment and perhaps change it up a little bit. Okay. So, for example, what you can do, instead of the right arm being straight, you can take a cactus position where the fingertips are moving up towards the top of the mat. It's just a little bit stronger for the pecs. It can be quite nice to play around with that. Beautiful. Another thing you can do, instead of that hand remaining on the ground where you're looking, you can wrap it around your back and maybe just create some small circles through that shoulder as you hold the position. And same thing on the other side. Just whatever you do on one side, just make sure that you do it on the other, just to see how it feels. Okay, let's go one more time each side. Doesn't matter again what you do or where you take it, just see what feels good. And then coming all the way back onto your belly when you're ready, make a little pillow with your hands, let your chin rest down and just let the hips rock side to side. Okay, now to take it into a fairly nice rested position just for the hips, slide both hands underneath your shoulders. We'll work into the left leg first, so just tuck the toes on the right foot. Lift the left heel towards the left glutes and then scoop that knee all the way up to the left arm. Let it land wherever into a nice comfortable position. And then once you get there, you make a pillow with your hands and let your right ear rest down on it as you gaze to your left elbow. So you can just let the ground take the body weight wherever there is the contact. Just breathing into your left hip. Hey Jax. Cool, let's take one more breath here. Lovely. And then when you're ready to release, just bring the hands back underneath your shoulders, push through the hands, return the left leg behind you. You can smell something on the ground. And then we're going to do it on the other side. So lift the right heel in towards the glutes, scoop that knee up towards the right side. Again, make the pillow with your hands. And left ear down to them as you gaze to the right side. So again, just breathing here, taking the legs into a position that feels most comfortable for you, whether the knee is higher up or further away. But again, just allowing the body to feel the support of the ground beneath you. Keeping that breath, just moving with ease. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, scoop that leg behind you, and we're going to press ourselves back into a tabletop. So coming all the way back up, and maybe when you get here, just have a little wriggle around a little bit of a move. Okay, cool. So we've got 2 more drills left over. So we're going to move into one called gate. So I'm going to turn to face the camera. So from this tabletop position, we're going to start by just extending the right leg out towards the side. So the arch of my foot kind of matches up to my left knee and hands to the ground. So just going to start moving into the adductors and the hamstrings by just rocking backwards and forwards. So backwards into the left heel, forwards into the fingertips. Now you can start to lift your right toes off the ground and sort of rotate them up to the ceiling as you rock back to gain something slightly different for those leg muscles. You can even move into the shoulders a little bit. Think about squeezing your shoulder blades together and separating them. Have a little wriggle. Again, kind of anything. We're just moving a little bit before we come into, say, the more structured part of the movement. Okay, so from here you're going to find a little bit of stillness, and then you're going to push through your left hand, take an inhale, rotate to the right hand side, lifting the right hand up and above. Now spread those fingers, maybe roll through the wrists. You can again wrap that hand around your back and just work through the shoulder a little bit. Or maybe that top arm just starts to go through some nice juicy circles. Again, whatever feels good here. Okay. And then from there, we're going to start to throttle that right hand behind the left hand. So you're going to come down towards the right shoulder. So let the left arm bend. Slowly lower it down to the ground and just holding here for a moment. So it might feel a little bit more intense into the leg that is straight, so the right leg. You can always wrap that left hand around your back if you wanted to. Or you can take the hand above the head and lightly pressing into the right arm, so the arm that's on the floor, to maybe feel some more engagement into the upper back. Take one more breath here. And then left hand comes back underneath, so you can rotate and open back up. So you can just start to move between these two. This rotation with right hand on top, and then this fold towards the ground, this threadling, this twist with the right arm on the bottom. And again, you can start to add in your own kind of flavor to it. If you want to really drop and hinge at the hips, that top arm wants to move into different positions, go for it. Just slowly again, finding this movement. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths wherever we are. Again, it doesn't matter where we are. And then slowly come back, bring the right hand to the floor, and we'll bring that right leg in. Have a little move in your tabletop, and we're going to explore the other side. So extend left leg out and away from you. And we're going to start again by just rocking backwards and forwards. Remember, lift the left toes off the ground if it feels comfortable and you want to do that. Whatever feels good. You can always hold as well. Maybe some movement into the shoulders. The way I like to think about the shoulders moving is if you've ever seen like a big cat like stalk its prey, its shoulder blades kind of move alternatingly, and it's really satisfying to watch, so maybe try emulate that. Okay, so let's practice the rotation and the fold. So push through the right hand, inhale, open up the left hand. Let's start with this. Maybe roll through the wrists, wrap the hand around your back, big circles with that top arm. Whatever feels good here. And when you are ready with that right arm extending up, no, left arm, let's straddle it behind the right. So come down onto the shoulder, holding here, breathing, breathing, breathing. And then once again, slowly coming all the way back up. Find the rotation, start to bring it into your own. Where do you want to take it? Do you want to hold a little bit longer? The left arm to the floor and change the position of the right arm. What feels good here? Again, finding that breath. Nice. Okay. So again, I'm going to say 2 more breaths here. Feel free to experiment a little bit more or come to a hold, whatever feels good. Nice, and then when you're ready, coming all the way back to your tabletop position, maybe just sink down onto your heels for a second. You can clasp your wrists together and just roll through them a little bit, just because we were bearing quite a bit of our body weight onto the wrists. Maybe take them through some waves. Jax is super curious about our setup today. Okay, so the last little drill that we're going to play around with is a really nice one, again, for the upper body in terms of the thoracic kind of extension, but it's also heavily involving the lower body as well. So we're going to start by just sitting on our butts with our feet, toes facing forwards, sort of hip distance apart. And then to start with, we're just going to take our hands behind us, and our fingertips are going to face out to either side. We're going to have a play around with different directions for the hands so you can see which one suits you best. So to start with, think about really squeezing your shoulder blades together, so we're nice and active and supportive for the shoulder joints, almost as if like that chest is like sticking out forwards. Then you're just going to lift your butt off the ground just a little bit and just start by moving forwards and backwards. You can do this by lifting up the toes as well. They don't have to stay glued to the floor. Maybe some circles as well into the wrists with the hips. Cool. And then we can change direction of the hands. So lowered back down, fingertips face forwards. Squeeze again through the upper back. Lift and again slowly rocking side to side, forwards and back into your circles. You might find this position is more stable or less stable for your wrist. I personally don't like this one as much. And then lower back down. So the last one we do, fingertips are going to face behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and again lift and then slowly rock. I personally prefer this position for my wrists. If you can keep it, great. If not, no worries, it's absolutely fine. We all have different sort of positions we prefer anyway. Okay, cool. And then slowly settle back down. Maybe take a moment, just cross the legs, and we're just going to work into the wrist a little bit more because I appreciate it's very load bearing. So with this, just take your hands out in front of you, a little bit wider than your shoulders, fingertips face up, and then down, and then up. So you really want to kind of focus on drawing the fingertips down to the ground, because that's the opposite way that we've just been moving the wrists. So we want flexion here, because we've just weight bared into extension. Sorry, words this morning not happening. Cool, and then to even change it up further, you can make a fist with either thumb on the inside or the thumb on top, and again, flexion, extension. A little bit stronger into the forearms, you get a little bit more pump there. Okay, so let's go into our final kind of movement. Choose which way round you want your hands to face, forwards, to the sides, or back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, toes facing forwards, lifting the hips off the ground again, about just an inch. Let's start by just lifting the hips as high as our knees, squeezing the butt, and then slowly lowering down, butt to the floor. Again, we can have another little lift, practice squeezing shoulder blades together, and then slowly come down. Now maybe this time, as you lift the hips up, your left hand reaches with you up and over your head, so you rotate the chest to the right. Feel free to lift the heels off the ground, and then sweep that left hand down, place it to the floor. Butt comes down. Lift the hips, sweep the right hand up and over as you lift up, and again, sweeping it back down. Beautiful. So you can just start to, again, play with this movement side to side. The foot doesn't have to stay completely to the ground. Like I said, a heel or both heels can lift up. You can pause between sides, or you can keep it flowing. You can even practice maybe bending into the knees even more, sort of experimenting with like a sissy squat position when the arm is extended. You can even do that with both hands to the ground, just trying to really bend into the knees. Just see where you want to take it. This sort of backwards and forwards rocking motion in this reverse tabletop. Basically, just see where you want to take it. It's our last little bit. So let's take 2 more breaths. And then slowly come back down. Take the legs maybe into a triangular position. Give them a little shake down, little rub, little pat. Wrists, give them a little bit of love. Okay, cool. So, final position, let's just take a nice chilled forward fold. I'm going to say grab your block if you have one, or maybe bring a pillow into the mixture. And we've got 2 options. You can either do this with the soles of the feet together, fairly far away so you can still have like room for the block in the middle. You can either fold yourself forwards with the hands on top of the feet, chin dropping down, or maybe elbows on top of the block and you're holding your chin, or if you have that mobility, forehead to the block. Or the other option is to do very similar but with the legs bent instead. Again, hands can go and reach forwards or take it on top of the block. Please just come into whichever one you feel most sort of comfortable in, where you can maintain that breath, where you can feel the breath moving all the way down the spine. Obviously, as well, as the moments go on, we'll be here for a little bit longer. You can change up what you're doing with the legs if you wanted to, or even the arms, the head. Personal favourite of mine is to interlace the hands behind my head and to gently add a little bit of pressure, just slowly drawing the chin in. Let's take a total of 3 more breaths here wherever we are. And then when you're ready, slowly starting to look forwards, bringing the hands in, drawing the legs together, maybe giving them a last little shake off. And there we go. So thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed this whole body mobility class. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions for future videos. If not, I will see you next time.